Alright, brush monkeys, welcome back. I've decided to do what I hope will be a fairly quick video. I've had people ask me why I put all my Citadel paints into dropper bottles like these, as opposed to just leaving them in the Citadel pots like these, or the bigger wash pots like these things. And the reason why is very simple. Is you waste a lot less paint and it's easier to use on the dropper bottles. You can control how much paint you put on the palette better with these than you can with these pots. And because you're not leaving these open all the time, like with these paints, you prop them open, and while it's sitting there and you're painting and everything, your paint's drying out, and then before you know it, you have to order more paint. So I've decided to take a moment to show you how to decant these Citadel paint pots into dropper bottles. Now these dropper bottles I've gotten, I buy like 100 at a time from a friend of mine. I got a big giant box of them here. And I just recently bought a new stock of them, which is why I have so many of them. Because, like I said, I buy them 100 at a time from a friend of mine who buys them by the tens of thousands on eBay. But all it is it's a three-part thing. You've got the cap, you've got the little nozzle thing that pulls right out here, and then you've got the bottle itself. And the way I do it is, this would probably be easier with a funnel. I don't have a little funnel, but I'm going to take this edge paint, this Leganeth orange. I bought this originally to go with the Frost Giant that we did last time, thinking that the edge paint was a dry paint and it was going to go on like a dry brush, and it's not. It's very, very liquid paint. But I'm going to put this into that bottle and then transfer the label over and show you how I do the whole thing. Now, to start with, I usually like to use a little bit of this Tamiya X20A thinner. This stuff is fantastic for acrylic paints. It's actually made for Tamiya paints, and you can buy it for like $8.39 for a pretty good sized bottle of this. I mean, this stuff is 250 milliliters, and it's pretty good sized little package of it. And I don't use a whole lot of it. I usually put it in a little dropper bottle, and you can see I wrote X20A on it. And this just, again, makes it easier to control how much you're using. I'll put, for a base paint, I'll usually put close to 28 or 30 drops in it. For a layer paint, I put about 14, 21 to 14. For this one, I'm going to put about 7 to start with. Probably about 14. It's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14. This stuff's pretty thin to begin with, so I'm not going to thin it down a whole lot. You can also use Vallejo thinner medium, which or any other brand of thinner medium. The brand isn't really necessary. Just make sure you get the thinner medium. I would not use Lamian medium for this, because unlike the thinners, Lamian medium is essentially paint without the pigment. So it's not going to do anything to thin down the paint. It's just going to change the color properties of it. It'll make it a glaze, but the paint won't actually be any thinner. It's still going to be a thick paint, just with less pigment. So don't bother with that stuff. Yep. Once I've got the paint in there, I use one of these little things. This is a little battery operated. It runs off of I think 1 or 2 AA batteries, 1 AA battery. You just pop that in there, and it's a paint stirrer. I bought this from Micromark. I probably bought this for maybe 15, 16 bucks. It was definitely less than $20, but this thing saved me probably close to $400 or $500 in paints, because I was able to take all the old Citadel paints from the early 90s that I had sitting in a box and just gave it a quick buzz with that, poured it into a dropper bottle, and they work fantastically. I've still got all these old Citadel paints from like Goblin Green from way back in the day. I actually put my own label on there because they didn't have the labels. They were just in these old like P3 style pots now. But yeah, most of my paint collection is made up of stuff that I've had for 20, 30 years now. Okay, this stuff is really, really thin, so probably don't need a whole lot of thinner. But you just put the stirrer in there and let it run for a couple minutes. And then to clean off your stirrer, you just put it in your paint, put it in your rinse pot. Boom. Now comes the fun part. Because I don't have a funnel, this is going to be kind of, could be a little messy, but for the most part, you just kind of pour the paint in there. And go slow, you're not in any kind of rush. The thinner the paint is, the easier it'll flow. And you'll see I'm holding it a little bit above the bottle. If you put it right on the bottle, it tends to clump up and fill up the neck more than actually pouring into the bottle itself. Okay, so there's that. And then usually what I like to do, just because it's me, is I'll take like between 7 and 14 more drops. 14. Okay. It's like 14 more drops of thinner. And just shake the Jesus out of it. Shake it like it owes you money. And that kind of loosens up the remaining paint that's in there and gets you a few more drops out of it. It's not going to like completely clear out the bottle, but it'll get you a little more. Oops. And there you go. Alright. Take my makeup sponge here and wipe off the outside. There we go. Beautiful. Alright, so there you go. There you have it. Just put the little thing back in there. Give it a good shake. You could buy agitators online, or sometimes you can find them at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, and just use like little glass beads, like 3 to 4 millimeter glass beads. Put 2 or 3 of them in there, and when you shake it up, it'll sound like a spray paint can. It'll rattle around in there. Unfortunately, right now I am out of agitators and need to go buy more, but you get the idea. It just helps mix the paint up a little bit inside there. So there you go. It's like, but Tom, I hear you saying, how do I tell what color that is? What's the name of the color on that thing? You've just got a blank bottle with some orange paint in it. Well, that's the one thing I actually like about Citadel paints over other brands. I'm trying to phase out the Citadel paints out of my collection because I really don't like the paints themselves. But and Vallejo and Secret Weapon and what's this other one? Scale 75. All those make better paints. The one thing Citadel does that's fantastic is they make labels that are really easy to peel off. You get your fingernail under the edge there and just, again, go slow, peel that whole thing off, and then you take your bottle, lay it flat, and usually what I like to do is I'll try to center up the label on the bottle like that and just wrap it on around. And you'll notice that the Citadel bottle is not as wide as the or the dropper bottle is not as wide as the Citadel paint pot, and so it'll overlap in the back. That's okay. This one I got a little cockeyed, so I'm going to peel it off and try it again, which again, with the Citadel bottles, really easy to do because their labels are fantastic. They got probably some of the worst paint in the industry, but at the same time they got some of the best labels. Like, how can I get Citadel to just print labels for every other manufacturer? They should just be in the label making business. Yeah, that's a little better. There we go. And so there you have it. Citadel Leganeth Orange Edge Paint in a dropper bottle. That nice professional looking label on there. It looks like it was meant to do that. Hopefully sooner or later Citadel will get on the bandwagon and start actually producing paints in dropper bottles. Maybe they'll go back to the old Cooked Arms company when they made good paints and put those in dropper bottles. But there you have it. That's how you decant your paint to a dropper bottle. Make life easier on you. This you can throw away. There's still a little bit of paint in there, but really it's not enough to make a huge difference. And you'll notice once I poured it in here, it took up a little over half the bottle. This will last you a good long time. This will last way longer than this now. So go decant all your paints and have a good time. Bye. Hey Brush Monkeys, Tom from Flying Monkey Studios here. If you like what you see, click like down below. If you want to be notified when new videos are posted, click on subscribe. Leave a comment below on what you want to see on future videos. And be sure to visit our Patreon site, our Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook pages. The links are all in the video description below. I'll see you later. Thanks a lot. Bye.